Hey, I made a thing. Well, actually, we made a thing. But before I tell you how we spent the last year making a collaborative mixtape with a bunch of artists all over the world and everything that went wrong with it, here's the vastly more important why. But before all that, let's go back to 2014. India's space program is thriving at record low costs. The US and Cuba put an end to 54 years of hostility between the two nations, and Alan Eustace breaks the world record for highest freefall jump, falling for 4.5 minutes at nearly 4 times the speed of sound. And yet, for me, the most memorable moment that year happened in Porto sometime in October when I met these two guys in my music school class.
Hold on with me, I promise this is relevant. Fast forward a couple of years, and like many indie bands with an undeserved and infatuated ego and very little money, we decided to record our own EP. And that eventually led us to us starting our own recording studio, Flying Rat Records. And from a basement to an attic, from an attic to the spare bedroom, and from the spare bedroom to us renting an empty office space in 2020 and building our own studio from the ground up. The space was originally created as a means to an end. We wanted to record our own music, and therefore we needed a recording studio.
A lot of recording sessions, a lot of new friends, and especially a lot of really good fun later. We've been incredibly fortunate to see this space grow into something bigger than we could ever hope for. But well, at some point, I think we kind of lost our way. Maybe not lost our way, but at least took like a detour. The studio began as way more than just a studio. A hangout spot, a place of collaboration, and just a general excuse for all kinds of shenanigans. A manifestation of our passion for music and a physical representation of a collective experience. I have some of my best memories there, I truly do. Playing with my friends and growing with them, both musically and personally. A real sense of community. I feel like especially now, whether it's social media, industry pressure, or our own projected insecurities and not reaching the goals we set for ourselves, as musicians, sometimes it's very hard to remember the very thing that made us fall in love with music in the first place, right? We get stuck in this vain necessity of feeling validated. And suddenly, something that was second nature becomes a stress-inducing burden. We don't release our work because it's not there yet, or I don't know how people will react to it. I just really miss the naiveness of it all. Well, nevertheless, I desperately want it back. This overly pretentious l'art pour l'art kind of thing about finding my own identity as an artist. And either way, I'm determined to get it. In fact, that's the whole reason behind this.
Remember the first thing I said?
We spent the last year making a collaborative mixtape with a bunch of artists all over the world.
The idea was to reach out to a bunch of our friends, explain to them my identity crisis, and have them write a song about their own experiences, having a theme that would tie everything together. We chose the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. Depending on how, where, and when you look at it, the Ouroboros can mean a lot of things. Its most common interpretation is as a symbol of death and rebirth and of life's eternal cyclic nature.
We thought it was sort of funny in a really self-deprecating kind of way. We've been talking about doing a project like this for quite a while now, and we always end up stuck in the same place. Stuck in this cycle of when things don't quite work out for one reason or the other, we trash the whole thing and start all over again, rinse and repeat. We wanted the theme to be a creativity sparker, not a hard guideline. And I think that worked out pretty well. We got singer-songwriter songs about nostalgia, and we got EDM bangers and like everything else in between. And I'm incredibly grateful to all these people that took time out of their lives for this. They're all amazing musicians and great friends, and I encourage everyone who's watching this to check them all out. And now, on to everything we did wrong.
Wait, I didn't record this part? Oh my god, did I delete the whole fucking... So apparently I deleted the second verse, accidentally.
There were several points throughout the time that we were making this project where it felt like the universe was laughing at us, in an almost poetic kind of way. And all the reasons that led us to start this thing in the first place kind of came back to bite us in the ass.
We initially started with 27 artists who were going to join in, and that number quickly went down to 11. People moved houses, and well, countries actually, and there were several points where we really thought we weren't going to be able to pull it through.
Yeah, so my song didn't go quite as well planned as I thought I had hoped. I was going through a creative block. It just really sucked. I just felt like I couldn't write anything.
I went through a hard drive failure and ended up having to re-record my own track. And quite honestly, until the very end, we weren't entirely sure how many tracks there were going to be on the record.
I recently took a job that requires me to travel. I had to do it basically on the go. I was going from one place to another, and I had to work in hotel rooms, work with what I got.
We were months behind schedule, our set list was cut in half, and honestly it felt like the whole cycle was going to repeat itself. We start a new project, we plan it, but the execution seems bound to fall short. We start a band, we write an album, but we never release it. I had a conversation with my friend Ricky a couple of months ago about the best way to approach releasing this project, how to market it and how to optimize this very video, all of that. And I came into our conversation with this grand idea of how everything was gonna go. And kind of flexing on him, like all the research and preparation I had done for some reason. And Ricky said something that ended up giving me such clarity on my creative process, on how I approach things that I care about.
He said that people tend to focus too much energy on one big thing. There's something they want to achieve, and they create this master plan of how it's gonna go, right? You plan it all. You go through with your plan, and when it doesn't quite work out, you're left feeling hollow and empty because of it. Ricky said that I should keep my goals in mind, but leave myself room to fuck up. I should wholeheartedly fuck up, embrace my mistakes, and just enjoy the value of people being completely indifferent. Learn from what I did well and focus my energy on that, and just enjoy the fact that everything that I'll do after this will be better because of it. Embrace that my path to success is not linear, despite how many Excel sheets and calendars I have made.
We tend to think that what we're making is the most important thing in our lives and it's going to define us for all eternity. Consider moving forward with a more accurate point of view that it is small work, a beginning. The mission is to complete the project so you can move on to the next. We're not playing to win, we're playing to play. And ultimately, playing is fun. I've recently read Rick Rubin's The Creative Act. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in there. But I feel like the quote that really resonated with everyone is sharing art is the price of making it, and exposing your vulnerability is the fee. And there's this intrinsically social aspect to music, right? That idea again of a collective experience. Going to a concert with your friends and experiencing the moment. I feel like it's that whole if a tree falls in the woods thing, but with your music and releasing it. Anyway, I think one of my main takeaways from the book is the importance of sharing the work, whether it's exactly where you wanted it to be or not. Out of this experience comes regeneration, finding freshness within yourself for the next project, and all the ones to follow. Every artist creates a dynamic history, a living museum of finished objects, one work after another, begun, completed, released, begun, completed, released, over and over again, each a timestamp commemorating a moment of passage, a moment filled with energy now forever embodied in a work of art. So here it is. Here's the culmination of many, many hours of work by many, many people. Here's our perfectly imperfect record, Tail Chasing. The mixtape is available for streaming in all major platforms, and it loops onto itself, so you can just leave it on repeat. Get it? It's the Ouroboros thing. You can find the info on everyone involved in the description, and feel free to follow us on our socials. We're kind of trying to shift gears from just being a recording studio and trying to focus our efforts on making more creative and community-based projects. So if you're into this kind of thing and would ever like to be involved, send us a message and follow along.